welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa if you are new here. Now in this video, we'll be talking about Our Lady of Guadalupe. A lot of the information in this video comes from this book, Guadalupe Mysteries. I will have it linked in the description bar below. But the topic of Our Lady of Guadalupe has always been my favorite topic to talk about. I can go on for hours about how much I love it, but to keep this video short and nice, I'm just going to talk about the information of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This video we won't be talking about the cloak extensively, that will be saved for another video, but in this video we'll be talking about the history before the apparition itself, and what happened after the apparition occurrence. So if you guys want to learn a little bit about Mexican history and the apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe, then just keep on watching. In Mexican history, we know that there was a migration and a conquest of Mexico done by the Europeans. When the European people came to Latin America, they brought their diseases. And the thing is that the Aztec people, a signal from their gods that they are doing something wrong is disease. So whenever a disease epidemic broke out in the Latin American countries, the Aztec people believed it was because their gods were disproved. So when the European people brought their disease, it made the Aztec people fear for their lives and fear that they were doing something wrong to their gods. So when the Franciscan missionaries came to Latin America to evangelize, it only made sense for the Aztec people to be worried and not to trust the missionaries. For the conquest and the Europeans coming to Latin America, there were 25 million Indians in Mexico. But by the year of 1531, where our story begins, there actually was only 17 million Indians left. In contrast to the Europeans, the Franciscan missionaries actually defended the Indian people. These Franciscan missionaries brought a new form of evangelization. These missionaries were independent and creative, and they created a new form that would fit the needs and the wants of the Aztec people. These missionaries saw the Indian people as future priests and future leaders, so they never let the Indian people feel as though they were below them. The Franciscan missionaries treated them as their equals and also treated them with some seniority, since they believed that they may be priests one day. To teach the Aztec people of the way of life and this new religion, the Franciscan missionaries never once pushed their teachings on them. They actually attempted to teach their teachings by fitting it into the culture of the Indian people. The Franciscan missionaries translated the religious works to the local dialect of the area. This was so the Aztec people didn't have to learn a new language to learn what they were being taught. Not only did the Franciscan missionaries see it as very important for the Indian people to learn about the new religion and the new customs, but the missionaries also thought it would be important for themselves to learn more about the Indian people's custom, rights, and practices. So the church instituted colleges in Mexico for the Franciscan missionaries to go to learn more about the Indian people. Typically, the missionaries, before baptizing people, they would catechize them. However, with many people wanting to convert to Christianity, the missionaries saw it as, okay, let's baptize and then teach the people about the religion. And this is where our story begins. On December the 12th, 1531, an Indian man of the age of 57 was on his way to church when everything changed forever. So this Indian man of 57 years old went by the name of Tilma, and this means talking eagle. Talking Eagle was born in 1474, and he was part of the Chichimeca tribe. This was actually the first tribe that was of the first baptized group in 1524 done by the Franciscan missionaries in Mexico. And when Talking Eagle was baptized, he went on to change his name to Juan Diego. On December the 9th of 1531, Juan Diego was on his way to his catechetical instruction when something changed. On his way to his church, St. James, he passed by this hill. This hill was called Tepeyac Hill. When Juan Diego was passing the hill, he heard celestial music at the top of the hill, so he decided that he would go and investigate. Once he reached the top, he came upon a young woman who was wearing radiant clothing that showed extraordinary light. She then called Juan Diego her beloved son and introduced herself as the Virgin Mary. She then asked Juan Diego to go on her behalf to the bishop and ask for a temple to be built in her honor. The bishop that he was to go to was the first bishop of Mexico, Bishop Zumarraga. That same day, Juan Diego went to the bishop and asked for the temple for Our Lady. The bishop listened a little bit, but he told him, how about you come back another time? Juan Diego returned to Mary and explained what had occurred, and he basically told Mary that she should find someone that is more noble or someone who the bishop will actually listen to. But Mary said, don't worry, go back again and ask tomorrow. On Sunday, December 10th, while Juan Diego was on his way to morning mass, he asked the bishop once again for Mary's request. The bishop listened a little more this time and then asked for a sign from Mary to prove that this was not a lie. So Juan Diego went back to Mary and told Mary of the bishop's request. Mary said return the next day and she will give him a sign. However, when Juan returned back home on December the 10th, he found that his uncle, Juan Bernardino, was gravely ill. So the next day, Juan Diego went to go seek medical help instead of doing the request of Our Lady. When December the 12th had finally come, Juan Bernardino, the uncle of Juan Diego, became gravely ill and he was dying. So Juan Diego decided that it was either meet Mary or have his uncle have his final blessing and confession. So Juan Diego chose his uncle and decided to go out and get a priest to give his uncle the last blessing and the last confession. So Juan Diego, knowing he was doing something wrong, decided to take a different route to the church. Well, Mary, knowing everything and being smart, stopped Juan Diego, and Juan Diego embarrassingly told Mary of what he had done. He told her about his sick uncle and how he was just trying to be a Christian and how he's sorry. Mary told him not to worry, that his uncle was healed, and told Juan Diego to go to the top of the hill and collect flowers. Juan Diego was kind of taken back by this. One, his uncle was sick, and two, it was December, and days earlier when he was at the top of the hill, there were no flowers up there. So Mary's request seemed kind of weird. Well, when Juan got to the top of the hill, there were actually flowers blooming up there. And one of the flowers that were blooming were Castilian roses. What is interesting about Castilian roses is that they are very common in Spain, not as much in Mexico. Juan Diego picked up the flowers, put them in his tilma, and brought them to Mary. Mary rearranged the flowers and sent Juan Diego on his way. Juan Diego went again to see the bishop. However, this time servants were stopping him from seeing the bishop, but when Juan Diego finally was able to do so, he unraveled his tilma and the flowers fell to the floor. Not only did the flowers fall to the floor, but also did everyone else in the room, including the bishop. When Juan Diego unraveled his tilma and the flowers fell, a miraculous image of Our Lady was on the tilma. The bishop ordered for this tilma to be placed in his private chapel and ordered for Juan Diego to spend the night there. On December the 13th, Juan Diego and the bishop's people went to Tepeyac Hill, and Juan Diego instructed where the temple was to be built. Now Juan Diego after this hurried home because his uncle was gravely ill and was dying the last he saw him. Well, when he got to his uncle's house, he found that his uncle had been cured. The uncle had told him that the Virgin Mary had appeared to him. The Virgin Mary appeared to the uncle and instructed him to tell people to call her the Perfect Virgin, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Guadalupe was not in the vocab of the Indian people, so this was actually very surprising. Only the Spanish knew of this word Guadalupe because there is a Marian shrine in Spain that is called Guadalupe. Within 2 weeks, the temple for Our Lady of Guadalupe was built. One of the oldest accounts of Juan Diego meeting the apparition was in a writing called the Nican Mopoa. Thanks to this apparition and the code embedded in the tilma, which we'll cover in another video, it led to the conversion of 9 million Indians to Christianity in 8 years. At this time, there were only 40 missionaries in Mexico. But because of this apparition, it is said that there were 200 to 300 people coming to be baptized, and later the number grew to great amounts. It is said that these missionaries had to do so many baptisms that their arms were so tired that these missionaries could not administer the sacrament. Some Franciscan missionaries were found to baptize 4,000 to 6,000 people daily. It is said that 2 priests baptized 15,000 people in one day. The Indian people can be seen as great models of a Christian life because they wanted to become Christian just because they felt the need to. They didn't do it for fame nor money. And it's even said that many of the Indian people would cry when they were receiving the sacraments. Now, there are many symbols that lie within the tilma. Like I said, we'll cover that in another video. But what's significant about the symbols that lied within the tilma was that different cultures saw different things in the tilma. Whereas one culture saw flowers, another culture saw pictographs. And it made a merge of two different cultures. Mary is seen as dark-skinned on the tilma. From close up, she appears as an Indian woman. From far away, she appears as a white woman. Due to the apparition of Mary, it led to the Indians and the Spanish to leave behind their revenge about the conquest because her apparition merged the two cultures together, the Spanish and the Indians. Before the apparition, when someone from two cultures, they would be seen as a product of rape or a disease or someone that didn't deserve to be alive. But because Mary appeared as mestizo, the mestizo people, the people of two different cultures, became something to be adored or something to be recognized. This is known as one of the easiest, the swiftest, the nicest, the least violent enculturations that had ever occurred. Because of the apparition on Tepeyac Hill, Our Lady has made all these different cultures merge together, not just the Spanish and the Indians, not just the Mexicans, but the Catholics. Catholics of everywhere around the world recognize this story to be true. This is one of the only Marian apparitions that most Catholics adhere to, and it's crazy the science that's behind it, the history that's behind it, all because Mary appeared to an Indian man in 1531. So guys, I hope you learned a lot about the apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the history before, the apparition itself, and the history after. Be sure to click that subscribe button because in the next few days, I'm going to go over the science and the secrets and the codes that are in the tilma of Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So if you guys are interested in that video, please click that subscribe button and give this video a like. If you learned something new, let me know. And if you want to share some history facts, then please put them in the comment bar down below. Always be sure to check the description bar because I'll have the book linked down below. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.